Just see, for parallel execution of two instruction or two thread or two process, it is necessary that they should not be dependent. Dependent means how we identify the dependency. Actually, if you see the any program structure, you have two things in the program structure. One is data flow, another is control flow. So each program has its data flow structure as well as control flow structure. And the dependence structure of the program is shown by these two structures of the program. Means data flow means a particular information is going to be calculated by a instruction or in a thread or in a process, and if this instruction is being used by another instruction, this result is being used by another instruction or another thread or another process, in that case it is not possible to execute these two instructions in parallel. Or if suppose a particular information is being used by a instruction or a process or thread and it is get modified by another process, then again you can't do the parallel execution. It may be possible that second execution may override this, and it is needed to get the pre-stored value, but you will get the modified value, and that will change the result of the program. Okay, so we go for the data flow analysis. Similarly, control flow also plays major role in the semantic of the program. Okay, आवाज बंद करो. Okay. आपको हम कहें म्यूट कर लीजिए ना. Okay. So we are discussing about data flow structure and control flow structure. Now come to the data flow. In data flow, there are, you just see, simple means a particular reference is being modified and that reference is get used by another. You just suppose this is instruction 1, this is instruction 2. We will consider the case of instruction level parallelism. So in that case, you can't execute I2 before the completion of execution of I1. Okay. If we have this type of dependence, then that is called flow dependence. And second case, if I1 use suppose certain value here, and that value is get modified by I2, In that case, again you can't do the execution of I1 and I2 parallel. This is called NT-dependence. You can, if I1 and I2 both are modifying same reference, again you can't do the parallel execution, and this dependence is called output dependence. Okay, and fourth dependence means if you want to provide the symmetry, means I1 and I2 are using same reference. Here you can put equal sign, here equal sign, here equal sign, equal sign. In that case, input dependence, this is the case of input dependence, and here it will not bother the semantic. So you just see, we have discussed the example like this. A is B plus C into D. So the code for this is T1 equal to C into D. T2 is B plus T1 and A equal to T2. You just suppose this is instruction 1 and instruction 2. In that case, you can't do the execution of instruction, this instruction, that is I1 and I2 in parallel, because due to this T1, I2 is bound to wait for the execution of completion of the execution of T1, this I1. Okay, this is a dependency, and this dependency is flow dependency. Similarly, means this is modifying, I1 is modifying, and that reference is being used. In that case, now you can define these three data dependencies. First is flow dependency. In flow dependency, if I1 modifies certain reference X and that reference is get used by I2, then we say I2 is flow dependent on I1. Same reference. Okay. Again, if I1 is using certain reference X and that reference is get modified by I2, then I2 is NT-dependent on I1. Okay. And if I1 and I2 both are modifying same reference, then it is output dependent. Okay, and if I1 and I2 both are using same reference, then that is input dependent. But for parallelism, we will consider only flow dependence, NT dependence, and output dependence. Some of you have written about the unknown dependency. Okay, so unknown dependency means actually we are doing this dependence analysis at the time of either if you want to write a parallel program, then before writing the program you have to go for the dependence analysis. If compiler is doing the dependence analysis, again you have some dependency that are not able to determine at that time statically. It will depend at the actual position of that variable. You know at the time of the execution of the program. Just see, for example, if you have a reference A, B, I. This is a subscripted variable. Subscript variable. A is an array and index is again a subscript variable. Okay. So it is very difficult to identify. Okay. Similarly, so this type of dependence is called unknown dependence. Again, see another example. Suppose you have for I is 0, I is less than 100, I plus plus. AI is A I minus 5 multiplied by suppose 2. In that case, again, for a particular iteration, means it is dependent on the information generated 5 iterations back. And you are analyzing for current iteration. So this type of dependency is again unknown. Again, if in the case of subscripted variable, if index is not linear, here you have expression. Okay, in that case, that example you have seen, we have just 2 references. You have seen one is going like this, another is going like this. So up to here, it will be flow dependent. At the point of cutting, it will be output dependence, and then it become anti-dependent. Suppose this is a reference used for subscript A, for array A, and this is this is the pattern of use. Just see. इसको फिर से हम बताते हैं. एक मिनट. Just see. Suppose 2 instructions, I1 and I2, are using array A. Okay. The reference pattern of I1 for A is like this. Okay. And reference pattern for I2, is like this. This is for I1, I2. Okay. You have here expression through which in as an index you have expression, and the curve means line generated by the expression is expression used in I1 is like this, and expression used in I2 is like this. So up to here, you just see first I1 modifies certain reference and then it is going to be used. So I2 is flow dependent on I1. Okay. At that very junction, means for particular iteration, both are using same reference, it means it is output dependent. And after this, I1 is using the reference, then I2 is modifying. Then it will become anti-dependent. Okay? So again, this type of cases can't be determined. Okay? This is called unknown type of dependencies, and I have told you for that, to especially for compilers, in compilers, to identify the identify the parallelism in the program, compiler does certain tests. One is GCD test, another is Banerjee test. These two tests are applicable in the compiler. That will refer the subscripted variable, that they will not, and in both the test, if you go through, although it is not related to you, but if you go through, here you can't do the exact analysis, we just do the estimation that if we use this pattern, then it will not affect the semantic of the problem. Okay? So similarly, in the case of pointers, although if you see the recent generation languages, pointers are get removed from the language. Now you don't have any such type of language construct through which you can refer the references. This is the case pointers you have in C and cousin of C, like C++, and you have the pointer in Pascal. There was a language Pascal also. Okay, so actually the actual location of the pointers are get determined at the time of execution of the program. In data structure, you have gone through dynamic memory allocation. Dynamic memory allocation, if you have used a pointer like int a, what it means, what a will hold. A will hold an address. Okay, a is an address where you write an integer information. Okay, if you have defined like this and you just write a equal to 2, you can't write because you don't have memory. But if you write int asterisk a b, now you can write a is address of b. For this, your compiler, just see what compiler does. For this, your compiler will generate instruction to allocate some space to write the information related to this name B. Okay, and the number of bytes needed to store the information depend upon the width of data type. Okay, but here again compiler will generate instruction to do the memory allocation where you can write the address where integer information is getting stored. This is the difference. So if you have this address, you can't do any analysis. actually this space, you don't know where this information is going to be stored because it is blank. Okay, so for pointer variables, first you have to do the memory allocation, means you have to assign an address. What we are doing by this instruction, a equal to ampersand b, it means the address of b is assigned to a. Now here we have the address of the instruction b, integer b. Okay, so in that case it can't be determined. So again there is alias analysis we implemented in compiler, because you just see although we nowadays we have very limited use of C language, because we have the recent languages that have higher capability to express the applications. But if you have to explore the core of the processor or entire system, then you have to take help of the C language. Okay, and if you have to write a program in C language, then you must have you have to use a compiler for that. And if you are using compiler on machine that has parallelism, then it will not explore. So we have to introduce the mechanism to explore the parallelism in C program also. Okay, so in that case, to handle pointers, we have alias analysis. Alias means naming. We just name, assign pseudo names to various pointer and do the analysis for those pseudo name, considering because we don't have physical location. So we just compiler assign pseudo names and do the analysis for parallelization. Again, if your pointer is in loop, then again there will be problem. There are several problems, and we have technique to remove those problems. Okay. Now, control dependence is due to the control structure of the program. Control structure means, हाँ बोलो
सर, आपने जो अभी पहले लिखी थी वो फ्लो डिपेंडेंट होगी ना?
हाँ, हेलो, आवाज नहीं आ रही, आवाज बंद हो गई, बोलो
सर। ये जो आपने अभी फॉर लूप लिखी थी पहले, i = 0 से i = 100 तक,
हाँ,
सर फ्लो डिपेंडेंट होगी क्या?
ये जो बनाया गया है, देखो
नहीं सर, इससे पहले वाली स्लाइड में जो फॉर लूप लिखी थी आपने,
फॉर i = 0, देखना वो हट जाती है, हम व्हाइट शीट पर लिखते हैं ना, वो हट जाता है. हाँ, i = 0, i is less than 100, i plus plus. So it is, क्या लिखा गया था यहाँ तो बोलो
सर a of i = a of i - 5 × 2.
हाँ, yes, a I is a I - 1, a I - 5 ये into 2, ये लिखा गया था ना. You just see ai means current iteration and it is referring previous iteration. Okay, so in this case the dependency, the value is already produced and you are using the value, then as flow dependence. Okay, ठीक है.
ओके सर.
लेकिन इसमें देखो, अगर हम ये कर दें तो डिपेंडेंस हो गया तो नहीं कर सकते. लेकिन अगर हम यही एक स्टेटमेंट है, बाकी इंडिपेंडेंट हैं, तब हम इसको 5 इस पर बांट सकते हैं, 5 प्रोसेसर पर. हियर i + 1 I plus 2, I plus 3, I plus 4, और ये जो है फिर I plus 5। तो इसके पिछले इटरेशन में इसका इंडेक्स जनरेट हुआ रहेगा, तो इसकी लोकल मेमोरी में होगा। ओके, इसके यहाँ I plus 6 होगा, तो AI 6 होगा, तो A6 जो होगा, A1 I minus 1 means 6 minus 1, A6 minus 5 means A1 यहाँ जनरेट होगा, इसी लोकल कैसे में ये होगा, तो ये कर लेगा, तो स्पीशियस 5 प्रोसेसर पर ये डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हो सकता है लूप। समझे? ये सब टेक्निक हैं उसको लूप को डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करने के लिए, लूप को रिप्लिकेट करने के लिए। लेकिन ये सब चीज नहीं। नाउ फॉर योर कंसर्न इट इज you have to know what is the dependence structure and how it is hampering the parallelism. Okay, देखो it will means give an opportunity, लेकिन अगर 3 प्रोसेसर है तो तुम नहीं बांट सकते, वो प्रॉब्लम आएगी। कभी किसी प्रोसेसर पर जाएगा, कभी दूसरे प्रोसेसर पर जाएगा। तो इसके लिए हम ये कर सकते हैं कि एक को 2 इटरेशन दें, दूसरे को 3 इटरेशन दें। अब जैसे भी है उसको हम डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करेंगे। ओके
ओके सर।
तो और कुछ डिपेंडेंस में पूछना है तो पूछ लो, नहीं तो आगे बढ़ाया जाए। और कोई पीछे का आप लोगों को अगर कोई कुछ प्रॉब्लम है, देन यू कैन आस्क, अदरवाइज यू विल।
सर आउटपुट डिपेंडेंस और इनपुट आउटपुट डिपेंडेंस में क्या अंतर है सर?
आईओ डिपेंडेंट ऐसा है, हाँ बता रहे हैं। Suppose you have 2 instructions, I1 and I2. Here you have A is B plus C. Here you have A is equal to E into F. Okay. So just see, here you may have some instruction. Suppose it is II, it is IJ. Instruction number II, IJ. You may have several instructions here between I and J, and that instruction are using the value generated by II. Here IJ is modifying. For these two these instructions should use the value of this A. But if you modify if you execute IJ in parallel with II, then what will happen? It may be possible that some of the instruction may use the value modified by this expression. Okay, this if II and IJ are executing in parallel, so IJ may override the value of II, and these instructions which needs the value of A in II will use the value of A produced by IJ. So this is the case of output dependence. If 2 instructions modifying same reference, then there will be output dependence. Okay. And second one is input dependence. You just see II, IJ. It is A is B plus C. Sorry. And here you may see, here you may say D is P plus C. So C is being used by both II and IJ. So this is input dependence, and it will not bother. If you are using the value, not modifying the value, then it will not bother on the semantic. Same value will be used by II as well as IJ. So you can execute both in parallel because C is already calculated before II and IJ, and both are supposed to use that value, and so you can do the execution in parallel because the same value will be referred by II as well as IJ. Okay. So if you see the Brustine condition, we just find the flow intersects union NT union output. If it is phi, then we can do the execution of flow. Means suppose we have discussed about the two sets, change set and use set. Okay, the Brustine condition means input variable for II and output variable as per Brustine condition. In implementation we have discussed about this, but in Brustine condition, I set means a set of variables that being used by instruction I. OI is the set of variables that is get modified by I. IJ is the set of variables that is going to be used by instruction IJ. That is, and OJ is set of variables that are going to be modified. For flow, modified by I and used by J. It means OI intersection IJ. This will show flow dependence. Okay. Union NT means modified by J and used by I intersection OG. This is the case of NT dependence. And output dependence modified by I intersection modified by J. Int is not equal to phi, then only you can execute II and IJ in parallel. Okay, this is the Brustine condition. समझ में आ रहा?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so and we use this Brustine condition, and you have seen we perform bit operation. Okay, in a basic block. During discussion of compiler, I will explain how it is being implemented. Otherwise, if programmer has to do, programmer can compute these set. Suppose programmer has to find out the parallelism between two threads, T1 and T2. T1 threads contains 5 instructions and T2 threads suppose 6 instructions. So for IT1 contains all the variables that are being used by these 5 instructions. Okay, and OT1 will have all the variables that are going to be modified by T1 in thread T1. Okay, similarly you can Now you can find the intersection of this to identify the flow dependence, this intersection to identify the NT dependence, this intersection to identify the output dependence. If all intersections are phi, it means you can execute thread T1 and T2 in parallel. This analysis is done by the programmer. Similarly, I have told you how your compiler does it will just assign integer value, and using that integer value, it will do the analysis, dependence analysis. Okay? और कुछ आपको जानना है?
सर
हाँ.
सर एंटी डिपेंडेंस में सर ये क्या कहते हैं, I1 पहले रीड करता है सर कि या पहले I2 मतलब राइट करता है?
नहीं, ऐसा I1 I2 तो उसी सीक्वेंस में ना इंस्ट्रक्शन है
सर, लेकिन पहले मतलब I2 ओवरराइट कर,
ऐसा है, रीड करने के बाद वो मॉडिफाई होता है.
सर रीड करने के बाद मॉडिफाई होता है?
मॉडिफाई होगा. ठीक.
ओके.
तो हम लोग अब आगे बढ़े. और कुछ पूछना है? So come to the So on last turn we are discussing about latency. You have seen forbidden latency. Forbidden latencies are those latency that causes collision. Latency means number of clock between two initiations. Okay, in pipeline. So here you have seen 2 is the forbidden latency, 5 is the forbidden latency. For 2, you have seen collision at here. कर्सर दिख रहा ना? ओके, आ गया. Here collision, here collision, here collision. Here. For 5, you have at stage 1. Similarly, 4, you have collision here, and 7, you have collision. So 2, 5, 4, 7 are the forbidden latency. But for 1, 3, you are not getting any collision. And similarly for 6, you may see here 6 means you just see, इसी में हम ये कर देते हैं, go back, this, इस पर हम कर दे रहे हैं 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are the clock needed. Okay. If we have latency 6, then X2 will be here, X2 will be here, and after this you don't have any occupancy, so there is no collision. Okay. So why 6 is here? 7 minus 1 is 6, latency 6. Take. So permissible latencies are 2, 1, 3, and 6. So you have seen latency sequence. Just see. Latency sequence means you have one permissible latency, 1, this. After then you see you can't initiate in any more. Here you will get collision here. If you initiate here, you will get collision here. If you initiate a process here, suppose process is x3, but here you will get x3. Again collision. You can't initiate here. You can't initiate here. You can't initiate. It means you have to wait for 8 cycle. Okay. So 1, 8. Again 1, 8. 1, 8. This is the latency cycle. Okay. Here, if you have 3, here again you can introduce here x, again 3. You just see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. First 3 latency means 4 minus 1. That is the 3 latency. And here 7 minus 4. We are starting here. 7 minus 4, 3. Latency means number of clock. You have to difference in number of clock to issue next instruction. So here we issue an instruction, then in third clock you can issue instruction, again in third clock you, so it is repetition of 3. Okay, so you can write like this, closure. So now just see which one will be the better. So average latency is 1 plus 4, in this case 1 plus 8 by 2 is 4.5. And in another case 3, which is better than 4.5. So we will prefer for this. Okay. Now, how we schedule the information? This instruction or task through a nonlinear pipeline. For that, means we have to find out the collision-free schedule, means a schedule that should not have a collision. Okay. So to find the collision-free schedule, we have to go for the analysis of the latency. Okay. For latency analysis, we find the collision vector. Collision vector is written like this. See this, where Ci is about the latency. Ci is 1 if I is the forbidden latency. Ci is 0 if I is what is permissible latency. So just see what one is C1 is 1 permissible latency, 2 is 0, C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, and C7. You have this. It is 1 is permissible latency, 2 is forbidden, 3 is permissible, 4 is forbidden, 5 is forbidden, this 6 is permissible, and 7 is forbidden. So this will be the collision vector for that pipeline. That is 1 0 1 1 0 1 0. This is the collision vector. For come to the this pipeline Y. Just see, consider this pipeline. In this pipeline, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So due to stage 1, 5 minus 1, 4 is the forbidden latency. Due to stage 2, you don't have any forbidden latency, but stage 3, you have 2 and 4. So union of this is 2 and 4 are the forbidden latency. Permissible latency is 1 and 3. Okay, then collision vector is 1 means 0, 2 means forbidden latency, 3 is 0, and 4 is, so this is your collision vector. In this way, we can compute the collision vector, and using this collision vector, we will go for the latency analysis and find the schedule that we will discuss on next term. Okay. Any problem?
No, sir.
Okay. So okay, now you can leave for next class. If you have problem, then you can ask. Otherwise, you can go. Okay.